For the morning. We read in our Torah portion about the different holidays, and all the Jewish holidays commemorate something. So Passover is the Exodus from Egypt, and with the where God listened to the slaves and the miracles, culminating with the crossing of the Red Sea. And our next big holiday that's mentioned in the in this week's Torah portion happens just like 7 weeks later, 50 days later. And it is the holiday where we're around Mount Sinai and we get the 10 Commandments in all of Torah. That's Shavuot. And then it goes on to talk about the high holidays and the role that they play. And then Sukkot, which marks our passing through the desert. We've got the major Jewish holidays are marked. It also talks about Shabbat, which marks the days of creation. In America, we have holidays as well. And holidays, for the most part, mark something. We have some of the big American holidays like 4th of July, which is sort of for everybody. If anything, maybe it recounts the founding of our nation from a group of immigrants. The July 4th is written on the Statue of Liberty. Maybe it has something to do with honoring freedom for all. That might have something to do with it. And we have a little bit different variation of the celebration. We celebrate with fireworks that are sort of reminiscent of the wars that we've won. And it becomes it takes on a military understanding in America. Many of the other holidays that we have are holidays that honor a specific group. So we have 2 holidays that honor the military. We've got Memorial Day, honoring the people that died. And it's interesting how it started off, dying is a sad thing, but we've sort of converted it in America to the way you celebrate Memorial Day. Maybe you go to a cemetery, but I don't think very many people do. I think quite a lot of people get hamburgers and hot dogs and barbecue and sodas and chips and welcome summer. The first outdoor family neighbor gathering with a picnic, which is sort of different than the original intent of the holiday. The holidays do sort of shift. We have Veterans Day that isn't all that widely celebrated now, but that honors the military. We have other holidays like St. Patrick's Day, which honors our Irish American heritage. We have Columbus Day, which honors kind of the Spanish and Portuguese heritage. However, now it has morphed into, but we need to say something about Native American rights. We have Martin Luther King Day, which sort of honors African American heritage. Is there a Jewish holiday in the American pantheon of holidays? Yeah, I guess so. Connecticut said that in the state of Connecticut, you have to celebrate Holocaust Memorial Day. So I guess that's our Jewish holiday, if there's one. Kind of interesting that that's the way that we're remembered in the calendar of the year. Native Americans, do they really have a holiday? Maybe. Columbus Day is sort of morphing into Native American Day, but not really. And Thanksgiving sort of is a Native American Day. It was sort of the day that the Native Americans were nice to the Pilgrims, is sort of the way it's interpreted. But Thanksgiving, I kind of love Thanksgiving. I really do. It's the holiday out of all the holidays. I mean, it hasn't got presents. Not like Christmas, which honors kind of our Christian heritage, or Easter. We have everyone take the day off for Easter that honors the Christian heritage. But Thanksgiving has something for everybody in it. The idea of being appreciative of being in America, appreciative for the prosperity that we have, sharing things. coming together. I kind of like that holiday. It's one of my total favorites. We have holidays that mark events. I guess like the 4th of July marked the event of winning the Revolutionary War, even though it's sort of tied to the signing of the Declaration of Independence. It's interesting. September 11th was a very big day for us, but we didn't really come up with much of a formal holiday. We just sort of, everyone remembers, well, September 11th. You know, don't get married on September 11th. You know, why would you do that? But it's not like there's a formal tradition that we would do. I don't know how we would formulate a holiday for it. We've got days for honoring fathers. We even have a day for honoring mothers. Not that they don't deserve honor every single day, but it helps us to pay attention to the different people that make up who we are. And I kind of like Mother's Day too. And not that I'm not partial to Father's Day, but Mother's Day is really pretty nice. We've got, you know, when you look at the Pantheon, I'm going to ask a question. If holidays help us appreciate something like a particular event, especially the Jewish holidays mark particular events, should there be a ritual or a holiday that marks coronavirus and our response to it? Are we living in historic times right now? Yeah, I think we are. Is it life-altering what's going on with us? Yeah, it is. Has it changed how we're looking at the world? Well, certainly now, and I think that there'll be a long-term effect as well about it. How would we mark such an important change, in America? We marked the ending of World War I with Armistice Day, which we call Veterans Day. What would we do? Would this be a day kind of like, well, I forgot to mention Labor Day, where we honor the people that work. Would this be a day kind of like Labor Day, where we honor the healthcare workers and first responders? What would we do? What would we do to honor? Would there be a parade with fire engines and ambulances in the parade? And hooray, and have the nurses and attendants be the ones standing on top and waving? Maybe that would be interesting. How do we want to remember these times? Do we want to remember them as a time for families being together, or as a time for when families are kind of apart, and so we should try hard to be together on a day that marks this? What would the ritual be? What would we do if we were going to create a holiday to mark these times? That's an interesting thing to think about. It's an interesting thing to think about. Would we, it's stark, the difference between good leadership and poor leadership when you look at the countries all over the world. Some of them have really densely populated areas and have been badly hurt because of that. Some have densely populated areas and haven't been so badly hurt. Like in China, there are about 3 people for every 1 million people that live there that died, which is significant, 3 out of every 1 million. In America already, we have about 240 people, almost 80 times as many people dying per capita as in China. And we're still well into around our peak. I have no How do you explain the differences? Europe got hit really bad, but Germany seemed to do really well. What's the difference? I don't know. There's a real lesson to be learned there, a real lesson. And like Vietnam hasn't had a death at all, and they're right there next to China. How are we going to remember these times? How are we going to remember that? I think there's important lessons there. I think there's important rituals. What ritual would we create for the first time that we open up our synagogue and we have a service in the synagogue? Should it be a special service? Or should it be a Shabbat service? It should be a certain day of the week. Should it correspond with a Jewish holiday? If there was some time in history that I can compare to coming back into the temple, I would compare it to 1967 in Israel, when for the first time in decades, people came back in to the city of Jerusalem, the old city of Jerusalem, and were next to the Temple Mount. And the ceremony and the celebration for being reunited with our holy space. And all of the songs that came from that, and all of the writings and the joy and the enthusiasm, the idea of being reunited with your sacred space. That'd be a nice day. How would we do that? What would we do? We sort of can't have a whole lot of people together because we don't want to wait 2 years until everyone's got a vaccine, and everyone is safe for sure to have a whole crowd of people in our building. Maybe we want to open up before then. I don't know. How would we do it? What would it look like? These are things I'm thinking about. Mindy had an interesting idea. She said, maybe we limit it to only 20 or 25 people to services, and people have to sign up ahead of time. And it would be like, oh, did you get to go to services this week? Which is kind of an interesting twist. I kind of think that idea is interesting. Get to sign up for services. Maybe we'd have more services. Maybe we'd have an early Friday evening service for 25 people, a middle service, a late service, kind of like 3 seats at a restaurant. So we can get 75 people in on a Friday night, maybe a couple of Saturday morning services, short ones. Maybe. How are we going to do? How are we going to look forward to what we're going to do? These are interesting times. I've also been giving a lot of thought about all these people which have died and all the funerals where there can't be anybody, where no one can show up, and all the people grieving and mourning and they can't get a hug. I put together a holiday. I mean, who knows if it's, can you imagine inventing a holiday? A holiday that would come around December. Asara B'Tevet. It's a Jewish holiday that marks, it's marked with a fast. It dates back to Roman times, where you don't eat during the day. Not the night before, just during the day you don't eat. And then you have a big meal at nighttime at sundown. And sundown is early in December. It'd be sort of like the middle of December. So it's one of the shortest days of the year. Asara B'Tevet. And I thought, all of those families that lost somebody and couldn't have a funeral could have a memorial service that day. And during the day, you have one after another of memorial services. And then right at sundown, all of those grieving families come together and break bread together and have a meal together, keeping with our Jewish tradition on that day. I mean, I don't know that that would be an annual event, but I think it would be an important way to mark an emptiness in our community. That's what these holidays do. And special moments, they share a light. They focus attention on a really important value or a really important thing that happened, and they give us direction. I think it's really, really fruitful to think now, to plan now. What would a holiday look like that marks this catastrophic, that marks this traumatic, that marks this disruptive time, that marks this just really different time? How are we going to mark it? Maybe if we have a holiday, it'll help us deal with the tens of millions of people that are unemployed. Maybe it'll help us deal with the millions and millions of people that aren't going to want to go outside at all, even when the coast is clear. 3 years, 5 years from now, there's going to be people that are really scared. Maybe it'll help them. Maybe some kind of ritual for getting out. Tell us, if you dream about what could happen, about the way the world could be, and you envision it, it gives you direction for how to actually get there. And it makes us closer to getting to a better world. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts, how to mark these times. Please contact me and let me know and think about them.